is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Say What? Thanks for dropping by. And guys, smash that like button. Make sure you click subscribe. And as always, share the video. Get content out there. Help us build the channel. Help us grow. Help us continue to do more and more things with this channel. Just help us make it better and better and better and better and better, guys. The more guys and people that like and subscribe, the better the channel's going to be. So make sure to do that. Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, guys, another episode of Say What Barstool Parlay. It's great to be back again. Had a lot of stuff going on. Guys, there were so many things I wanted to make video about. So I touched about this in the last video. There's so many things over like the holiday weekends that I wanted to make videos about, but like all the videos that I thought I was gonna make just totally got trashed, and they got thrown out the window because of all the stuff that was happening. Excuse me. But the biggest thing that happened was what a crazy weekend in the NFL yesterday. What a crazy weekend that it was in the NFL. And we're gonna get into the two top stories that I want to talk about in the NFL right now, because there's a lot of just confusing things going on around these stories. So with no further ado, let's take another whiskey sour and get into this. So first thing I want to talk about, guys, biggest story of the weekend, Sunday Night Football. What the heck were the Philadelphia Eagles doing? That's the biggest question mark of the weekend, and I want to elaborate this for you guys. So over the weekend, Philadelphia lost 20-14 to the Washington football team. Okay, sounds normal. Yeah, okay, they lost. Washington wins, they're in. Now the things circulating around this game was the Giants and the Cowboys were playing in the Meadowlands in New York. The winner of that game would go to the playoffs if the Eagles beat Washington. Okay? So a little added drama to the game. There's other teams in the wings waiting for the results of this game, or a team waiting to see if they would win in the results of this game. So a lot of drama around this game. Let's get into this game, guys. So what happened was Washington has a really good defense. They played well, good D, and Jalen Hurts, for the Eagles, he took over for Carson Wentz, did not look good. There's a couple things I want to break down with this game. He didn't look good, but he didn't look bad, okay? There was his yards, everything were low. And on the surface, if you're just looking at stat levels, you go, okay, he had a bad game, didn't look good, whatever, this isn't a big deal. So many drops, guys. Like, you watch this game, it's like drop after drop after drop after drop. Like, I really only saw realistically one really bad throw from Jalen Hurts, which was once again a coaching decision. It was a 4th and goal, and they go for it against an extremely good Washington team. When it's 17-14, it's a chip shot, extra point former before they moved him back, normal like high school extra point field goal from like the 2 or 3 yard line. And they get some pressure off the edge. Hurts scrambles out, has to throw it off his back foot with a dude about to hit him. Underthrows it by a couple yards. Guy couldn't quite get there and get under it on 4th and goal. Other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot negative about Jalen Hurts last night. There was just a struggling team with Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. Guys, the list of inactives for the Eagles was insane on offense and defense. So you got a struggling Eagles team with a bunch of inactives just trying to find a way to win this football game, which most people believe that Jalen Hurts, with his running and passing ability, could be enough of a spark that Philly had a really good shot to win this game. Well, like I said, just kind of didn't play good, didn't play bad, was just kind of trying to make the best of the circumstances and, get this team in a position to win the game, which even Chris Collinsworth during the game said, hey, guys, I'm really impressed with Jalen Hurts' ability to really throw the ball and be accurate when you give him an opportunity to set his feet. It's a good point. Thanks, Chris. It's a good point. Hurst looks good, and he looked good last night with the opportunities given to him working on a struggling football team with a struggling franchise. So the other thing that I want to touch base on here was what really happened last night, which has got everybody up in an uproar. In the fourth quarter of a one-possession game, at this point, it's only a 3-point game. Doug Peterson yanks Jalen Hurst and puts in third-string Nate Sudfeld, who proceeded in the fourth quarter to turn the ball over twice, had an opportunity to turn it over 3 times, looked so horrendous, should not have ever been in the game, should not have, you look like he probably shouldn't even be in the NFL last night. Needless to say, as we said earlier, Washington ended up winning the game partially on a Nate Sudfeld fumbled shotgun snap. Can't even catch the shotgun snap, fumbles it, and it gets batted around, and Washington recovers. Chase Young recovers and runs it down to like the opposite 20, and the rest is history. Well, guys, this Philly situation is a mess. And there's really nothing that happened in this game other than Philadelphia trying to throw the game, okay? And this is why I'm saying this, okay? So let's get this straight. Philadelphia, who currently, if they win this game, they get the 9th pick in the draft. They're picking 9th. If they lose this game, they get the 6th pick in the draft. You're not picking a quarterback at 6. You're not picking a quarterback at 9. So really, there's no reason to improve your draft status. You really don't have any draft status to improve, so it's not really going to affect your draft. What's the point behind this? There really is no point. Now, the Eagles clearly wanted, for some reason, I guess they think maybe there's a player they really like at 6 and they wanted to get the 6th pick. But clearly, guys, Philadelphia, there's 2 things that happened here. Either one, Philadelphia tried to throw the game to get the 6th pick, which then completely compromises, as we said earlier, the integrity of all these games. Or Doug Peterson has to be fired immediately because he's that stupid. Which Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and coached a Super Bowl, and I don't think anybody's that stupid, guys. And we're going to get into this a little bit, but let's be real here. So you pull Jalen Hurst. After the game, Doug Peterson says, I was coaching to win the game. I wanted to win the game. So you're coaching to win the game. Okay. But then he also in the same breath says, but Nate Sudfeld's been here for 4 years, so he deserves some snaps. Well, hold up. Are you coaching to win the game, or are you coaching to give a guy who you've had for 4 years who you think's earned some snaps? What? They don't go hand in hand. Because if he gave you the best chance to win the game, you wouldn't be throwing him in as like a little pity, hey, you deserve some snaps. He'd be starting the game. Or you're just trying to give him some snaps because you know he's not good enough to start. You know he's not very good. You just want to give him some snaps and see maybe if he's a viable backup possibly. But here's the problem. A lot of people are saying, well, what's the big deal? It's week 17, this and that. Doug Peterson doesn't know because the Giants won the Cowboys game, which if the Eagles win that game, the Giants get in the playoffs. So he said, well, he doesn't know the Giants anything and blah, blah, because Giants are Cowboys fans. No matter who would have won, they would have been pissed with this happening, thinking, we just made the playoffs. No, psych. No, we didn't. They would have been livid, okay? But getting away from that, I don't want to focus on that because, yeah, you're right. He doesn't owe the Giants or the Cowboys anything. That's not what this is about. What this is about is stop lying, Doug Peterson. Every week when Jalen Hurst came in, Jalen Hurst looked phenomenal and said, well, we don't know who we're going to start next week. You know exactly who you're going to start next week. You're going to start Jalen Hurst. Well, and then Jalen Hurst wins against the Saints. Well, you don't know who we're going to start next week. I look at the film. Were you not in the stadium? What do you mean you got to look at the film? Obviously, you're going to start Jalen Hurst. He just beat the Saints. So, Doug Peterson, stop lying. That's what this is. Stop lying. Just be honest about what you're doing. You want to get Nate Sudfeld some reps. The problem with this is, if you want to evaluate Nate Sudfeld, obviously he's not going to start. And we saw that last night. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. If you want to figure out whether he's your backup, you don't do that in a live game on week 17. Oh, we got to see if he's backup material. You don't do that. Maybe if Nate Sudfeld was a rookie, like Jalen Hurts, I would say, okay, yeah, maybe week 17, you want to see what he's got, some live action. See if he's your backup caliber type of guy, keep a game competitive, manage the game well, not make dumb mistakes. I might, okay. But he's been in the league for 4 years. You guys have had this dude for 4 years. So Doug Peterson, what you're openly admitting is you're so shitty of a coach that in 4 years of practice, in 4 years, you couldn't evaluate whether Nate Sudfeld is worth a flying crap or not. For 4 years, you saw this guy 7 days a week in practice for 4 years and said, I have no idea what he is. I have no idea if he can play. I've watched him play 7-on-7. I've watched him play scrimmages. I've watched him throw the ball. I've watched him run routes. I have no idea if this guy can play. None. No clue. We literally take guys who played crap in college and go, wow, he had a really good combine. I think I might draft him. Literally, they throw on air in the combine. You're like, I think this guy can play. We could turn him into a quarterback. And you're telling me after 4 years of practice, one day at the NFL combine, you can decide whether a guy can play or not. But 4 years of practice, you need to give him some live game reps to evaluate him. Really? Clearly, he's not going to be your starter. And clearly, I could have told you that without ever watching him play. Nate Sudfeld? No, not even your backup. Get that guy out of here. There's going to be a lot of backup quarterbacks on the market. You got guys like Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota. You want Nate Sudfeld as a backup? All right. No, I'll take a former starter who maybe isn't quite good enough to carry a team as a starter, but like Andy Dalton. But yeah, I'll make him my backup. No, I'm good on Nate Sudfeld. But that was the excuse. Here's the other side of this, okay? Let me be clear on the other side of this. So, Doug Peterson, you're telling me you're not smart enough to figure out in 4 years whether this guy's even a viable backup. You got to give him in-game reps. Wow. Indictment on your coaching, number one. Number two, you're lying to me because you're telling me that you're coaching to win the game. So let me ask you guys something, all right? If you guys were in Doug Peterson's shoes, what would you do? You have a quarterback on the bench of Carson Wentz, who's been your starter for the last 3 to 4 years. Carson Wentz is sitting on the bench. You just paid him $150 million because you thought he could be your franchise quarterback. If Doug Peterson honestly believed that Jalen Hurts was struggling a little bit and thought, maybe I could get a spark. He's not there tonight. I need a spark on offense. I need somebody who can get this team rolling. Are you going to go to the $150 million man who was formerly your starter for 4 years? Or are you going to go to Nate Sudfeld? No, if Doug Peterson really believed that Jalen did not give them the best chance to win that game and wanted to win the game, he would have put Carson Wentz back in the game. Well, we can't do this, and the relationship's broken beyond repair, and forget that. It's one game. It's one quarter. Hey, Carson, put your stuff on. Go in. You think the team has any confidence in Nate Sudfeld? No. You're telling me that you have your former starting quarterback. You deemed him not only to be a starter, but a franchise guy and paid him $150 million. He's sitting on your bench, who you believed at one point was a franchise caliber quarterback. And if you're going to win the game because you need a spark, you're not going to put him in versus Ryan Sudfeld. You're not going to put in Carson Wentz. You're going to put in Ryan or Sudfeld. Really? Really? You're going to put Nate Sudfeld over Carson Wentz. Are you out of your mind? Now, I'm not a Carson Wentz fan. I think the Eagles should get rid of him. They should part ways. I don't think it's a good situation for either one of them. But you're going to put in Sudfeld over Wentz. Are you out of your freaking mind? So that clearly shows you right there. The fact that they didn't put Wentz in shows they weren't trying to win the game. It had nothing to do with trying to get a spark or be in the best possible position to win the game. That's bullshit. Honestly, guys, if I had to guess, it was honestly, to me, what I took away from the game was they literally tried to throw the game and get the 6th pick. And it's an abomination. Like, there's people who lost money on bets like this. It's just sad. And all around, it just looks bad for Doug Peterson. Like, last night was a really bad night for Doug Peterson. You paid Carson Wentz $150 million, and now he's, like, demanding he wants a trade in the offseason or to be released. Like, he's like, I want out. You botched your relationship with Carson Wentz. Now you have Jalen Hurts, who looks like he's going to be your future moving forward. You botched your relationship with Jalen Hurts by pulling him in the 4th quarter of a one-score game where at any point he could go down, score a touchdown, it's 21-20, and the game's over. Or he just kicks a field goal, which you passed up on earlier, and it's 17-17, and, you take him out of a game, he's got a chance to win. So you botch your relationship with Carson Wentz, you botch your relationship with Jalen Hurts. You look like an absolute asshole for putting in Nate Sudfeld and screwing everybody's betting lines and everything else and basically intentionally throwing the game. And you look like an absolute idiot because you couldn't evaluate a guy for 4 years. You had him in camp. So you can't evaluate talent. You botched relationship with a $150 million quarterback. You botched relationship with a 2nd-round draft pick quarterback who looks like your future. And you botched your relationship with the rest of the roster. Because the rest of the roster is sitting there going, Coach, what are you doing? Are you trying to lose this game? Like, are you seriously pulling Jason? Or pulling Jalen? And if you pull Jalen, you're not putting in Carson. You're literally putting in Nate. Like, yeah, we like Nate. He's a good guy. We go get some beers with him on Saturday night. But, like, he ain't going to win us this game, Coach. Like, Nate's not that good. And you saw it live. Like, you saw it live. You saw the emotion, the intensity, everything. The offensive line, everything for Philly just saw the heads start drooping and just the energy drained out of the whole team. Where it's just like, we're not going to win this game. They're trying to intentionally lose this game. Like, you saw the energy just come out of all the players. And the big thing is the fact that the coaches, like, this year, what we've seen with Doug Peterson is he's botched every, like, post-game interview. Like, he's just lying about everything. Like, as a player, you've lost all the respect to your players. Now, that's number 4. You've lost the entire locker room because you can't bring him back into that locker room next year because players are just be like, Coach, you're lying to me. I'm not going to start. I'm not going to be here next year. I'm not going to, I'm not going to get paid. I'm not going to. They're not going to believe anything that he says when he says, hey, listen, even free agents coming in like, oh man, you're going to start. You're going to play. We'd love to have you. Yeah, we'd love to have you here. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, you'd love to have me here, just like you loved Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. And they're going to have him in a corner. And, I'm just asking, Coach, are you going to be as dedicated to me as Jalen Hurts, who you pull in the 4th quarter of a one-score game to intentionally throw it, or like what? I just want to know because I don't want to go like to a team who does this. I don't want to go to a team who tells me I'm starting and then 5 minutes later I'm not for no reason. I don't want to be involved in a team like that. And they're going to have him over a barrel, guys. They're going to ask him questions like that. They're going to have him over a barrel. That's the thing. Is all these players, when he tells them they're going to start this year, they're going to start next year, they're going to be this or this, and when he's laying out positions and depth charts and roster, everything's like, oh, yeah, I'm starting this week. What about next week, Coach? What about next week when you decide to throw a game? What about when I miss one tackle and you're like, oh, you're not starting anymore? Everybody just looks at him as a liar now. The whole team looks at him as a liar. Oh, we were coaching to win the game. Coach, don't lie to me. You weren't coaching to win the game. You put in Nate Sudfeld. You did not coach to win the game. You're lying to me. Players don't like that. That's the biggest thing. Like in NFL locker rooms, guys, I'll tell you that right now. The biggest thing in NFL locker rooms is players refuse to be lied to. They will not be lied to. You cannot lie to NFL players. because especially veterans like Fletcher Cox and some of the Brandon Graham, Darius Slade, these other veterans in the locker room, they smell out bullshit and they know when people are lying. So, what happened last night on Sunday Night Football was an absolute travesty. I'm appalled by it. I'm shocked by it. And it's the first time we've actually had like visible proof of like, yeah, 100% somebody's trying to throw a game. Somebody's trying to tank. I really feel like I watched tanking live for the first time. Like you see like teams are like they intentionally put in young players like, oh, we want to get them reps. We're not going anywhere this year. We're trying to get guys reps, but you're like, oh, well, they're still coaching win games, and maybe they're thinking maybe this guy can give them a spark, or maybe this guy will be good, and they just want to see what they got. But this is the first time I actually really felt like I was really intentionally watching somebody try to tank or throw a game. It was disgusting to watch. It was terrible. It was, like I said, it was a horrible situation by Doug Peterson because at the other side, like it just continues the Carson Wentz debate of, well, how do you think Carson Wentz feels? You think Jalen feels bad getting pulled in that game for evaluation? How do you think Carson Wentz feels if they're trying to win the game? What kind of a slap in the face is that to Carson Wentz? Yeah, Carson, we know you went from being the starter for $150 million to we put in Jalen, and now we don't even think you're better than Nate Sudfeld. We're going to play him. Yeah, we're in a tough patch. We're going to go with Nate. Keep that coat on, buddy. Are you kidding me? Like, what a slap in the face to Carson Wentz that they're literally now, if you're saying that they're telling the truth, that Carson gets in there and say, okay, so, Coach, you're telling me that if I believe you, you think that Nate Sudfeld's better than me? Wow. I'm out. I'm demanding a trade today. I'm out. Doug Peterson's got to go, guys. He's got to go. Like, this was the final straw. Unless there's a backdoor agreement with him and Jeffrey Lurie where Jeffrey Lurie told him to throw the game intentionally or whatever, he's got to go. He's got to. Because despite how stupid all this sounds, if he's actually telling the truth of he thought he had the best chance to win and he wanted to evaluate players, and then he's literally that stupid and he's literally that bad of a coach, and you have to fire him anyway. I mean, it's just either he's intentionally tanking or he's literally the dumbest coach of all time, and you have to get rid of him anyway for all the multiple reasons in this scenario and the after effects of what this does that I just laid out. Moving on, the other biggest game of the day, at least for me. Well, there's two big games. One, the Cleveland Browns are in. Beat the Steelers. I hate to do this to you guys. I like Baker. I like Cleveland. Nick Chubb, I love. Oh, God, you give me some Nick Chubb. I love me some Nick Chubb running the football. I think Kevin Stefanski is a good coach there, good fit. He's proven that he's good fit, pretty solid there. But I hate to do this to you guys. Let's put the whole thing to bed pretty quickly here for the Browns. I don't want to get into this too much because it's pretty black and white. They're going to get beat by the Steelers, and they're probably going to get beat bad. The Steelers yesterday played with basically their entire second string. And the only semblance of offense we saw at any point from the Steelers was basically just throwing jump balls down the field to big receivers like Smith and Claypool and hoping they can come down with it. And with them throwing jump balls and no semblance of an offense and second string players, the game came down to a 2-point conversion. The Cleveland Browns did not have a very difficult schedule outside of their division. They are not a good football team. As far as playoff standards, they're good in the league, but they're just like a middle of the pack football team, which is where they're ranked in the playoffs, a middle of the pack football team. And the Steelers are going to make short work of them. But I will say this. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan, don't lose all hope. You might get one win. You might get one win because the Steelers are almost as big of a train wreck as you. The Steelers have all the talent. They're just wildly, I don't know what's going on with the Steelers. They're just no fucking clue what's going on with the Steelers right now. They lost to Cincinnati just out of the blue. So maybe the Steelers could pull another Cincinnati dud and you get lucky and win. But I'm picking the Steelers to win this game. The Steelers are way more talented all over the ball than Cleveland, and obviously they have a better quarterback than Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's good. He's not great. He's a shockingly average NFL quarterback. Big Ben, when he's on, is a fantastic NFL quarterback. It's not an indictment on Baker Mayfield. I like Baker. I think he should be the Browns quarterback, but let's not get overly excited. He's just average. He's very accurate and things like that, but upstairs, he doesn't read coverage as well. He doesn't have a good feel, he doesn't have a good pocket presence. He doesn't read coverage as well. He's just shockingly average. He's just a guy when they're open and you give him time in the pocket. If they're open, he's got time. He can set his feet and throw the ball. He's not a great diagnosing coverage and audible and getting guys he's just average. That's what average guys do. Great guys win upstairs. Average guys win just on ability. If I can set my feet when he's open, I throw. Guys like Brady and everything else, they went upstairs, they audible, they change, they move things, they know where guys are supposed to be, they understand every in and out of the coverage. We saw Patrick Mahomes making coverage and protection shifts and different things like his rookie year starting. It wasn't his rookie year in the league, but as a new starter, his second year, we've seen him doing stuff that he shouldn't have been able to do till his fifth year with protection shifts and audibles. And there are guys that just have it upstairs. There's guys that just have it physically. Baker's just a guy that has it physically. The upstairs, he's got a really questionable decision making at times. He tries to force things. He thinks he's more athletic than he is. Takes a lot of sacks. It's not an indictment on Baker. I like him, but he's not Big Ben. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Breeze. He's not Mahomes. And at this point, he doesn't look like he's going to be Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. So he's just not those guys. So let's short work. Pittsburgh over Cleveland. That whole playoff stint is going to be very short-lived, and that's going to be the end of that. Anyway, let's move on to the other game that was very interesting, which was the Cowboys-Giants game. And I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot. I'm a huge Cowboys fan. You guys know this clearly. But I just want to make short work of this because we've talked about it before. Cowboys. Mike McCarthy has to go. He has to go. Period. Point blank, period. Mike McCarthy needs to get fired. Urban Meyer is in the realm of coaching jobs. He's looking at NFL coaching jobs. They need to do what they did last offseason, which was ignore Urban Meyer and hire Mike McCarthy. They need to undo that stupid mistake and go interview Urban Meyer today. The season's over, call Urban, Urban, are you still interested in the Cowboys job? You said it was every coach's dream job. Please take this job. We're going to fire Mike. They knew that they need to do that yesterday. They need to do that midseason. But anyway, Mike McCarthy's got to go. He's not the coach. He's not the answers. The players don't like him. The schemes don't work. Mike Nolan, obviously, is just a train wreck. That whole defense was a train wreck all year. They're literally, for almost half the year, they were the worst defense in the history of the NFL halfway through. And they've slowly kind of improved, but not really. They're still the worst scoring defense in the NFL. They're the worst yardage defense in the NFL. They rank last in almost everything. It's just disgusting. Mike McCarthy's got to go. And one of the reasons that I say that is, one, the team's uninspired. They don't respond. They don't play well. And I know that the Cowboys were riddled by injuries. Don't get me wrong. But I will say that the Steelers were in a very similar situation last year, had some injuries. Ben Roethlisberger was out. They put in Mason Rudolph. Let's not pretend like Mason Rudolph is better than Andy Dalton. If you guys really want to talk about that, just keep your mouth closed because you're going to sound really stupid. Mason Rudolph should not even be in the NFL. He's a pathetic excuse for an NFL quarterback. I'll just come out and say it. Like we saw it again on display against the Browns, like we talked about yesterday. Like this kid he might be lucky to start on my high school team. Like Mason Rudolph is pathetic. They were still one game out of the playoffs with Mike Tomlin. Mike McCarthy has looked terrible all year. The teams look terrible. They don't respond. They don't play well. And they've had injuries and they've had things. It was just really the last couple of weeks that the injuries finally, like after Thanksgiving, the injuries were just like, and which was funny because the injuries actually after Thanksgiving dumped on Dallas, and then they actually kind of started winning because they played Cincinnati. And so, but the thing with McCarthy is not only do you have to blame him for the results of the team, you have to blame him for the results of the team because of his evaluation of talent. And I'm not talking about players because I think all the free agent moves that they made were phenomenal. I love this roster. Dallas had and you guys can argue with me if you want, but I'm telling you, they had the best roster coming into the season. Like, just look at their defensive line. Everson Griffin, like a 12-time pro or 12-time All-Pro. DeMarcus Lawrence and Alden Smith, who was on pace when he was in San Francisco. If he would have stayed in San Francisco on that pace without all the off-the-field stuff and having to sit for 5 years, Alden Smith would have been the best pass rusher in the history of the NFL. He's like the fastest player to 50 sacks or whatever it was. Like, he had better numbers than Reggie White and everybody else, like his first 3-4 years. Like, you have Alden Smith, you have Everson Griffin and DeMarcus Lawrence, and you get all the rest of your guys back, like Randy Gregory, who we've seen throughout this year is a stud. Tyrone Crawford, who's just a really solid, like really good starting defensive lineman who you can play him inside, outside. And like that was the thing is all these guys, it was designed for a 4-3. So you have bigger, like stronger defensive ends like Lawrence and Griffin and, you know, in a 4-3 defense, which they didn't play all year. And then they cut all the guys who they put for a 4-3 and it doesn't fit. And like, no, just go get a coordinator who runs a 4-3 and have the best defense in football. But yeah, I mean, that pass rush was insane. Like staying in a 4-3, the things you could have done, moving Crawford inside, outside, moving DeMarcus Lawrence, who's big enough to play inside, outside. Smith, the same thing, is the biggest he's been in his career, like 285. Move him inside, outside. Griffin can move inside, outside. And like the combinations you could have put on the field and moving guys around and nobody knows who's going to be where on a given day, like the stunts and everything else. Like, oh my, like guys, the creative things you could have done with a 4-down line with Griffin, Gregory, Smith, Lawrence, Crawford. The things you guys could have done, especially on like 3rd and longs, the creative pass fronts you could have put on from inside. Oh, it's wild. But Mike Nolan went to a 3-4 and utilized none of that and then cut Everson Griffin and all the rest of their best players that they signed. So much for that. But that's just another indictment on McCarthy. Like, you hired your staff. You hired Mike Nolan. So not only did you evaluate your players and say, hey, Mike Nolan's scheme doesn't fit my players, you hired Mike Nolan knowing that he's just flat out not a good defensive coordinator. The last time we saw Mike Nolan, guys, I want to really make this clear. The last time we saw Mike Nolan, he had the 28th ranked defense in the NFL, which was the Atlanta Falcons. He got fired the year that you can guess they were in the Super Bowl and gave up 28 points in the second half to Brady and had the biggest collapse in Super Bowl history. Yep, that was Mike Nolan's defense, who was ranked 28th all year. Congratulations. Nice hire, Mike. Way to go get a winner. You hire guys like that, you need to get fired. And just to be real, guys, like I said, I think McCarthy and all this shit needs to go. But I want to make this evidently clear to all the Cowboy fans out there, my fellow Cowboyians. Guys, don't get excited for next year. Don't get excited for the year after that. Don't get excited for the year after that. Don't get excited for the year after that. McCarthy's not going anywhere. I'm not even positive at this point that Nolan's going to be gone in the offseason. Kellen Moore just signed a extension. Kellen Moore sucks as a play caller. Like, let's be real. Let's completely be real. Kellen Moore's terrible. Kellen Moore's a bad offensive coordinator. So the offense is going to continue to not score points. Mike McCarthy is going to continue to be a crap head coach that doesn't connect with the players. I don't even know if Mike Nolan's going to be there next year. It looks like he actually probably will be, which means we're going to have a historically bad defense again. Guys, we're going to be like 8-8, 7-9 again. Maybe we'll win like 2 more games with Dak, but we're going to be like just as bad. And it's not even going to be because we have Dak back. It's going to be because we have our offensive line back. We're going to be bad next year and the year after and the year after that because we won't get a coaching staff. We won't get anybody we won't get a real offensive coordinator or a real head coach or a real defensive coordinator. And we're going to continue to let all this talent that Dallas does have. Nobody can argue that Dallas isn't loaded with talent. And it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute train wreck. And it's going to continue to be a train wreck for the next couple of years, guys. An absolute train wreck. So, with that being said, Cowboys fans, I'll see you again in like 2030. Let's look forward to that, huh? Maybe 10 years from now, McCarthy will actually, like Garrett, maybe 10 years from now, McCarthy will actually get fired. Maybe 10 years from now, Jones will, God rest his soul, I actually love Jerry Jones, but they'll pass away. And actually, then we can, my only problem I have with Jerry Jones is him not allowing us to have a head coach that will actually take credit or anything else, like actually have a winning head coach, because he had Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson won a Super Bowl and they got fired because everybody's like, oh, Jimmy's a great coach. He's like, no, it was me. Another story. But, guys, I just want to say, as always, thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Austin Probert. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you guys again on our next topic. We're going to continue to pump out content here, guys. We got a lot of new stuff coming. Make sure you continue to tune in and share content so we can continue to build the channel. Like I said, we need to build the channel so we continue to do more and more cool stuff for you guys. The more people that like and subscribe, the more cool stuff we can do. The more people that we can talk to and continue to share the stuff. So make sure that you guys are liking and subscribing. And we'll see you next time on Say What? Barstool Partake. Partake. Did I just say that? I just said that, guys. I said Barstool Partake. I can't even get the name of the show right. This might be the last episode, guys. I can't even say the name of the show right. As always, thank you for tuning into Barstool Parlay. Raw takes. No apologies. Keep that in mind in the comments, because some of you guys have been coming at me. I shoot back on the comments. Raw takes, no apologies. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Love all of you. Peace out. Deuces.